Hello, and welcome to episode 1 of The Modern Consultant. I'm your host, Mark Aarons. If you are listening to this because you found one of our later episodes and you are asking yourself, how did we get here? What's the backstory? Where's this going? And what's the journey? What's the evolution of the journey towards getting there? Let's check out episode 1. Then this episode here is for you. I am very much a begin with the end in mind kind of person, and I look at life through the lens of Google Maps. I need a destination, and then once I have the destination, I need to know where I am right now, and once I know where I am right now, then I can have different routes to being able to get to where it is that I want to go, and I could choose one of those routes based on preferences that I have, because it's going to be a great experience, or there's something else about that journey that's going to be helpful for me. And then I can now sit back and start to enjoy the ride of getting there, knowing that it's going to be worth my time, basically. I apply that to business. I apply that to life. I apply it to exercising and pretty much everything else. And if we applied it to this particular situation right here, where are we going? What is the point of this? Ultimately, my entire life is directed at creating generational health, generational wealth, and generational love. There's a lot behind that, more on that in just a little bit. On the professional side, it looks like helping service professionals and many consultants scale their impact on the world by being able to productize their expertise so that they can help way more people, when they're in the room and even when they're not in the room. And the reason I do that is because I see service professionals, ones who are truly service driven, as being focused on being able to help people. And if you can help the people who want to help the people, then everybody wins together. And I also strongly believe in service professionals being compensated for the contributions that they provide to the world, because that's also going to fuel their ability to be able to continue doing more of that. And so we have this virtuous flywheel of help that's being provided to everyone over time. That's the way that I look at it. Now, how did I actually come to that? Well, we'd have to go back in time to me being 8 years old. I'm in a blue Volkswagen being driven by my dad back from his office. He said to me and my brothers in the car, he believed that every generation should do better than the one that came before them. Now, at that point, I was like, man, I'm probably screwed because he's an MD, PhD. There's no way I'm going to be able to top anything that this man is doing. But that just stuck with me for the next decade of my life. And it wasn't until that I got to college that I then found the answer to what that might look like for me. And it actually came through a grad student. I was a junior in college and I was working in a physics lab. I was studying environmental sciences, and I was working in a physics lab on a Harvard-led project. I won't say his name, but the grad student, he walks in, I looked up to him because he's also from Jamaica, but he was always looking out for me. And he says the weirdest thing to me. He's like, I have this book that I want you to read, but you have to promise me that you're going to read it, or else I'm not going to lend it to you. And he wouldn't even tell me what the name of the book was. And I was like, this is ridiculous, but okay, fine. I trust you. He gives me Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And that blows open my mind to all of these concepts that I'd never been exposed to before, because my background reference points is science and just not business, anything having to be related to business. I gobbled that book up, and then it's like, okay, next one was Cash Flow Quadrant. And that introduced me to the concept of, people being employees, self-employed business owners, or investors. And from there, I was like, oh, everybody in my family is pretty much employed or self-employed. No one's like a business owner or investor. And if we're wanting to be able to scale our impact on the world, I'm born and raised in Jamaica, where two things, one, I'm the son of a doctor, and then also the son of a tourism executive. Being of service to people and helping people, having an impact, is a very strong cultural value as well as a family value, and then also a personal value of mine. If we're wanting to be able to do more of that in the world, then having more leverage would be the way to do that. And to have more leverage, if we had more money and if we had structures of business and potentially investment, then we could do more good in the world. And so that was my thinking and stuff at the time. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to figure this out. However, I'm studying science. I can't switch my major now to business because I'm on a full scholarship and I've got like a year left. And if I change my major, I run out of money and I have to go back home because I'm on a student visa. How do I figure this out? So from there, one of the recommendations in the book was that you need to learn like marketing and sales. And so I start looking around and then I hear about like network marketing. Turns out unprofitable business model. But one thing I took away from it was one, personal development. And then two, I got introduced to online marketing. And then from there, one of my mentors had introduced me to online courses. And then through taking an online course that taught the fundamentals of online business as well as marketing and sales, I was able to then build a website that would eventually go on to have 700,000 people come to the site. And I built that while I was actually in grad school. And so that got me into the world of online marketing and sales, and then eventually helping other consultants to be able to grow their marketing and sales online. And then eventually going further into, okay, well, it makes sense to also then create online courses because that's the way that I improved my own life. And like the fact that a service professional, a doctor actually had created the first course that I had ever taken, kind of opened up my mind to the fact that, well, if more people were to productize their expertise, we could have a greater impact on the world. And that would be a really good use of my time to continue doing more of that. And so that actually leads us up into who this podcast is for. And so if you are a consultant, or who I describe as consultant adjacent, and everything is online now, and so by default, most of our businesses are going to have either online marketing, online sales, online delivery in some capacity, then this podcast is going to be for you, because we're also going to be having on experts who have already done the thing at a very, very high level. I have been very fortunate to work with New York Times bestselling authors, to work with neurosurgeons, people who are just at the top of their field. And in addition to bringing on these experts, I also want to talk to the people on their team who are able to actually help them like implement it and make it happen, because no man is an island. No one like crosses the finish line alone, and so for us to be able to get there, I want for you to be able to see some more of the behind the scenes. And so that's as far as like who it's for from like a professional aspect. Myself personally, I find that I usually connect really well with people on the basis of values. If we had shared values, then I know they're not going to screw me over and they're going to be a really good team players. And we're probably going to have a good time getting to wherever it is that we're going to go. So on the value sides of things, anyone who's listening to this, as well as the people that I plan to bring on, probably are going to share some of my personal values, which is one, living an inspired life. And I don't mean like woo inspiration. I mean like, I am moving towards the things that bring me not just joy, but fulfillment. And fulfillment is a very specific word. Fulfillment for me is more along the lines of, this matters to me so much that I'm willing to sacrifice to be able to make that a reality. That to me is living from a place of like deep inspiration. Like you want to create whatever it is that you want to create to that point. Now, don't run yourself into the ground doing it, but hey, if you need to sacrifice some to be able to make this happen, then you're really inspired about that thing. So the second value is having growth mindset, basically being growth oriented versus say a fixed mindset. The reference there is from Carol Dweck. And if you're in the business of creation and also serving, ultimately you're in this place of needing to think in terms of possibilities, what can be done as opposed to what can't be done. And if we are trying to collaborate together to be able to create something, having a growth-oriented mindset is going to be very important for being able to do that. And so if that's you, then you're probably going to find that this is a cool place for that. Third value is precision. Again, I'm the son of an MD PhD, and I have 2 degrees in science myself and also a nutrition certification. And I find that precision is a tool an instrument for being able to secure reliable outcomes for improving one's quality of life, as well as helping to improve the quality of life for other people as well. And so because I share that value and I see that value with people and experts, I want to be able to bring in people who are like that as well, so that you're going to actually get like high quality information that you can actually find actionable. The fourth value is being helpful. Like, I think it's much better to be cooperative than to be. It's not that competition is bad, but destructive competition is probably not the best way for us to be able to build a better world and a society and a civilization where it is that everybody is able to have some measure of success. Yeah. And the fourth value is strength. Not just conventional strength, because I mean, physical strength is just important for any human system to be able to survive in the environment. But I think of it in terms of different aspects of strength as well. The physical, intellectual, emotional, and the spiritual. The first three are a little bit intuitive. The last one has a lot of disambiguation. And so after many, many years, I distilled it down to just this: growing your sense of inner peace. And so I want to be talking with people, experts, and I want to invite people, to listen to this podcast who share these values. If you are wanting more strength in your health and in your intellect, in your emotions, in your sense of inner peace, then you're going to probably find resonance with this space and who it is that we're planning to bring on. The next area beyond values, as far as who this is for, there's a bit of overlap with the guest that we're going to be bringing on, which is capabilities. I am going to be talking to people who have the capability set to produce the outcome that we're all wanting already. And you're going to see me do the thing that I'm really good at, which is productizing expertise in real time, which is going to be something that makes this podcast very different. I've done this professionally now for many, many years, and it's just the way that my mind works to be able to understand the world. Again, to just even understand my parents and to also understand the entire Encyclopedia Britannica print edition that I grew up with, and then to also understand America because I immigrated over here as well. I'm always trying to just like distill down through the lens of science, like what is going on here? What's the system? What's the model? What's happening? And how can we make it super, super clear? You're going to hear me do that after any answer that any single guest provides to any question that I ask them on the podcast. And that is part of the underlying thing that I do to also create like very, very high impact courses and programs and everything with service providers. And so again, you just get to see me do it in real time, which I think will be really cool and helpful for folks as well. And the third thing that's going to be a filter for who we have on the show, as well as, if it's going to be for you, is lifestyle design. How does somebody use their capabilities really to be able to create some manifestation of their values in the world? And so that's basically lifestyle design. What are you trying to create? Like, how are you trying to live this intentional life? How do you put it to like good use? And so you're going to hear me dig in with every single guest to see, okay, great. That's cool that you share these values and you have these capabilities, but like, where are you going? How are you creating it? How are you thinking about it? We're going to be talking about that with them as well. And so if all of that sounds interesting to you, especially if you are a service professional who are wanting to create like a bigger impact and stuff on the world, and you want to hear from people who share your values, and they also have the capabilities to be able to help you get more of what it is that you want, and they will also share with you, their thinking on the kind of life that they're trying to create, so that you can then almost have these thought partners to be able to create more of the life that you want as well, then this podcast is going to be for you. It is not going to be for you if you are basically a business narcissist and you're thinking to yourself like, oh gosh, well, I use business as a tool to create profits and profits come before people. Then this is probably not going to be for you. It's also not going to be for you if you have the opposite of a growth mindset, which is more of let me just stay in my comfort zone and never try to improve and basically live a life of fear, and then allowing that fear to influence all action in a negative way. It's not going to be for you. And I feel like the reasons for that are going to be self-evident. It's probably just going to piss you off. So just like skip it, spend your time on something else, or, I guess hate watch or listen and get our numbers up. That'll be cool. But that aside, what else could you expect on this show? Well, we're going to be doing weekly podcasts. And again, I've been honored to work with New York Times bestselling authors, high-level experts, business leaders, also the mentor to Damon John of Shark Tank, as well as Tony Robbins. And will everybody I reach out to respond and say yes to the podcast? I don't know. We're going to find out together, and we'll be on this journey together. But I'm going to be doing my best to invite the best of the best that I have been very honored to work with and to be introduced to be able to get the best of what they know, to be able to help you get to where it is that you want to go, which brings us back full circle to why I said I'm doing all of this in the first place. Create generational health, generational wealth, and generational love, and to do it in a way that allows me to talk to people that I would want to learn from anyway, so that we can help more service professionals scale their impact and live the best quality of life possible. So if that's you, if that sounds cool, then I invite you to be on this journey with me, and let's get this show on the road. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Hey, thanks for checking out the show. If you liked it, go ahead and hit the like button, and also subscribe so you don't miss another one. It also tells us which ones that you like the most so that we can then do more interviews like that. If you want to go from idea to implementation though, especially if you're wanting to productize your expertise so that you can scale your impact on your clients and of course grow your business, then join our email list. There we're going to talk about how modern consultants can productize their expertise so that they can have a greater impact on the world around them and live life on their terms. If that's up your alley, I hope to see you on the other side. Talk soon.